everybody doing a drinking and rambling vid here today. I'm going to try to make this a longer ramble. I don't know if it will reach an hour or not, but I do have 3 Miller Lights here. I know it's not, I actually like Miller Lite. It's not, and it's kind of nice because it's not like an alcohol. It's like 4% alcohol, maybe. Let's see. 4.2. So, I can drink some of these and not get corded, which is nice. So, it doesn't take much, honestly, for me to get buzzed. I don't drink much. I did get really nicely toasted, actually, last Sunday. I haven't done any drinking and rambling. I'm already slurring my words, and I have 1 sip there. I'm telling you, I'm a lightweight. I haven't. Don't think I've done any kind of drinking and rambling in a bit. There is a glare coming in again. I'm trying to screw with it, but you can see it bouncing off my giant nose. But hopefully it doesn't get worse. It actually should get a little better if this goes on longer. It's just the time of the day. Even it messes with the blinds. I'm messing with the light on the camera. I'm messing with the brightness. I got the lights on, so it doesn't. It's kind of a pain. But what are you gonna do? But yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, somebody was talking about, I guess I had mentioned the Ryan O'Reilly trade in passing, kind of in that kind of sports ramble that I did with the, was it with the eating grapes, I believe. And then I mentioned, I can't really talk much about it, honestly. I know they traded, I don't know who they traded for him, but clearly they are. And I think their GM even said they're in win now mode with that trade. It's still going to be tough to get through that conference. The Bruins are historically good at the moment. In hockey, that could translate to a first round exit. That's how hockey goes. You'll see 1 seeds get bounced once every 2 years. I remember back in the day when the Nuggets beat the Sonics, and they were the 8 against the 1. They beat them in a 5-game first round series, and that was maybe 94 or 95, 93 to 91 of those years. And it was such a big deal because that was the first time it had happened. I believe it might have happened a few times after that. But in hockey, I know the Red Wings have lost being a 1 seed, the Capitals have lost being a 1 seed. And that's just recently. Because I'm pretty sure when the Oilers went to the Cup Finals, it was at the 5-6 finals or the 6-7? They played the Hurricanes, and they were the 8 seed, I'm pretty sure, and I think they beat the Red Wings the first round that year, and I think the Red Wings were the first seed. The Red Wings bounced back. They ended up, they already won some cups before then, in the late 90s, and then won before that, and then they went to the back-to-back ones. Was it 7-8, 8-9 to 2? They played they beat the Penguins the first year, and then the Penguins beat them the second year. So they were good for a while, the Red Wings. But I think the Canadians did it against the Capitals when the Capitals had 118 points or some shit. And it's happened more often than that. Even 2s versus 7s, 1s versus 8s. You'll see those upsets quite a bit in hockey. It's common because of it. It just is hockey is such an interesting sport, and it's such a great sport in that regard. Is that not to say good teams don't advance far. You saw it with the Lightning for a bit there, but and anybody, Red Wings were doing it for a while. The Devils, the Avalanche were always good. Back in the day, when the Avalanche won their 2 before they won the one last year. You'll have good teams still do it. Rangers were a President Cup trophy winner there last Cup back in 93, 94. So good teams do well, but it's crazy how an NFL thing. you'll see a 1 seed or a 2 seed make the Super Bowl a ton. But in hockey, you don't see it as much, so I don't know if the Bruins will do. I mean, the Bruins are just, it's ridiculous. They have like 97 points. They have like 8 or 9 losses. It's ridiculous. But about that trade, I mean, I guess it's a good trade. I don't know who they even traded for, honestly, like who they gave up, but he's a solid player, and he brings cup experience there as well, so it's going to be tough, though, man. Obviously, the Maple Leafs have that funk or curse, whatever you want to call it, where they can't get out of the first round. I mean, even when they got Tavares, they signed Tavares, but was that like 18-19 season was the first year he was on them? I think, yeah, he's been on them 4 years. You were like, okay, you know, if you're a Maple Leafs fan, like, here we go, and they just keep getting bounced in the first round. It's kind of almost like a statistical, like, such a weird mathematical, like, anomaly or whatever you want to say. I don't know if that's even the word, but, like, how have they just not gotten out? You know, like, it's weird. Like, haven't they just, like, you just think they would just win it's crazy. I remember actually similar, it's very, almost the exact thing. I'm a Trailblazers fan, and after 91, 92, they went to the finals and lost to the Bulls. 92, 93, 93, 94, 94, 95, 95, 96, 97, 97, 98. I guess it was, yeah, because they went to the conference finals 98, 99. 6 years in a row, they got bounced in the first round. So, I mean, you have to, it's like so hard. Even if you're a good team, now Portland during that run was always a lower seed. No, 92, 93, they were a higher seed than the Spurs and they lost, but every other time they were a lower seed. You know, Maple Leafs have been lower and they've been higher, but it's just so hard to get past something, you know, like, even in the case of the Islanders, like, people would say the culture of losing, and other teams have this in all sports, you know, have teams that have this. It's so hard. Even when you start to get good, it's still so hard. Now, the Leafs don't have that. The Leafs are consistently a solid team. It's just that they have trouble now getting out of the first round. But it's the kind of thing where if they get through the first round, they probably go to at least the conference final, you know. I don't know when the last time was. I know they beat the Islanders in, I think it was the 2000, was the Islanders' first year back in the playoffs. It was a hard-fought 7-game series, really good series against the Leafs, and the Leafs, I think, made the conference final that year. That was 01-02, I believe. This is when the Islanders picked up Yashin and Michael Pekka. And actually were good for a few years, but they kept getting bounced in the first round, too, actually. They had, actually, the Islanders, I mean, this is also in between the Islanders missing the playoffs a bunch, but it was, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, strike season, 5, 6, they didn't make the playoffs, 6, 7, and then 12, 13, they missed it like 5 years in a row again. They got bounced 5 years in a row in the first round. It doesn't get looked at the same way because the Maple Leafs are original 6 team. It's just a different thing. They're in Toronto, in reality, which is like the hockey capital of the world, you know, so they had a ton of scrutiny and eyes on them constantly. I remember back in the early 90s, actually, it was 92, 93, 94, I believe. I was rooting for the Maple Leafs because I really liked Felix Potvin, and he was their goalie, and they lost the conference final in 7 to the Kings, and I think they lost again. I don't know if it was in 7 or not to the Canucks. But I always liked Felix Potvin, and then he ended up being on the Islanders very briefly and had like a 60-save game during one of the Islanders' playoff droughts. The Islanders are a funny team because they came in the league in like 72, 73, and it got good like within 3 years, like really good, and then they win 4 cups in a row. They go to 5 in a row. They pretty much passed the torch to the Oilers. I remember that 4th cup, they swept the Oilers, and then they played again, and they actually won game 1, but then the Oilers kind of just plowed through them the next 4. But they like passed the torch, like one dynasty kind of to another. But the Islanders were good up until like 92, 93. They missed playoffs here and there, but they were consistent. And then after that, I've talked about this past, the Rangers swept them badly in 93, 94, and then they went like 7 years without the playoffs, and it was always with the Islanders, like they always wanted a new arena. Like even in the 90s, they wanted a new arena, and they finally got one at Belmont, not in Uniondale, but last year it opened. Like it took so long. So many, like Charles Wong wanted to do a crazy bunch of stuff, and they wouldn't let him. Town voted against it, or the politicians wouldn't let him have it. Then they went to Brooklyn in an arena, the Barclays Center, which is not made for hockey, so it was weird. And they were there for a little bit, and then they started splitting time at the Coliseum again, which was hilarious. The town pretty much, the county pretty much wanted him out, and then the county officials wanted him out, and then they're like, come back, and now they're back. They're on the border now of Queens and Nassau County. The Islanders actually playing pretty decent right now. I mean, they haven't got Barzil's hurt. I think Bago's hurt. They have guys out. The problem is they have games, too many games played. For some reason, they've played 61 games and everybody else is like at 57. So they have point lead. They're technically in the playoffs, but if these other teams just win some games, they'll get leapfrogged. So I assume these other teams are going to be playing a lot of back-to-backs at the tail end of the season. But Horvat, they signed him. And the Canuck fans seem to love him. And he obviously, I've looked at his stats. He's a solid player. And exactly what the Islanders needed. And he's been doing well since he's gotten there. So I'm glad he's sticking around, regardless if they make the playoffs. I think the Islanders, I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but they're going to probably pop 90 points. And if they miss it, they'll probably miss it within the 90s because their division's tough. Although the Penguins and the Capitals are starting to really fall apart. The Capitals have lost like 6 in a row. The Penguins like 4. But the problem is the Capitals only have one game on ahead of, they only have one game played, but they are points ahead of them. The Penguins have like 4 less games and are like 4 points behind the Islanders. So you have to hope they keep losing. The Islanders just have to win their game, so it doesn't really matter. But and Zorkin's great. They still have the goaltending. Their D is good, but it's been weird this year. It's like sometimes they suck. And, I think they still need another offensive player, honestly, but it was nice to see them make that trade and him want to stay. I mean, they probably overpaid a little bit, but that's what you have to do for the Islanders, unfortunately. Like I said, it's always a nice sign when the other team's fan base is, like, still rooting for him and they pop on the Instagram page like, oh, we love him. He's going to put the team on his back and all this stuff. It's kind of cool. You're like, okay, this guy's probably a good player. Rangers have lost like 3 or 4 in a row too, but they'll be fine. This is gonna end up being another freaking hockey ramble, but I feel bad. Other people watching, like ramble about something else. You stupid bastard. I never hated the Rangers. Like it was funny. Like it's like weird. It's like you don't want the Rangers to win because you're like, oh no, you're on the island. You're in New York. You're on the island. The fans are gonna. Not that the Ranger fans would just come up to me and know my Island fans are giving me shit for no reason. They wouldn't happen. It's more like you just don't want them having the bragging rights. I honestly have nothing against the Rangers. There's teams in that division that I would dislike more, like maybe the Flyers and not even the Penguins. Yeah, but usually it's when they play each other in the playoffs, the Islanders and Penguins. That's when you start to care, And as crazy as it sounds, Islanders and Rangers are obviously rivals. But until they start to actually play some playoff series, which they haven't since 93, 94, the rivalry is there, but it's not like a true rivalry. I think the Penguins and the Islanders have the playoff rivalry. They've played like 3 times in maybe the last 10 years, which isn't that crazy. Or 9 years. This would be the 10th. No, man, I never minded the Devils actually at all, or the Hurricanes. I mean, the Hurricanes, they weren't always in the Islander division, so you'd be looking at like their natural rivals would be like the Penguins, Flyers, Devils, and Rangers be like the 4 ones, and then the Capitals kind of, later on. Columbus, you don't consider it because they moved over too. There's been a lot of restructuring of the division, so. That's one down. But yeah, I want to order the Devil in Me, the Dark Pictures game, the 4th one. It's like $30 on Amazon. I have enough points on this Microsoft thing. If you have Windows, it's like tied to your, everything else, Xbox, all this shit. You can like build points when you surf the web or you do their little things every day. So I make it a point real quick, even before work in the morning. I pop the computer on before I have to leave. I'm like, let me just get my points so I can keep my streak going. I have enough for an Amazon gift card. I might get one of those $5 ones and just maybe get that game. They had a good sale. I guess it was President's Day sale. It's still going on, but they Remaster. It was on sale for $10. I'm like, should I just buy it? But the devil in me, I would pick up and immediately give a play to. Like these other games I pick up and they sit around. I have 15 unopened Xbox One games. Because and the funny thing is, you have like a nice library of games and you're like looking at something to play and for some reason you can't find anything. It's like if you have a bunch of movies or books, you're like, I don't know what to play. Like I said, I had finished up Mankind Divided a few weeks ago, and like I randomly threw in Lego Harry Potter, the HT, whatever the hell, the one they put out for the Xbox One. I'd already played those games on the PS3. But I threw it in again. That was a gift, the game that was on my Amazon wishlist a while back, and I was like, I threw it on there because I'm like, I love those games, and I played through the first one again, years 1 through 4, and then I started playing through 5, 7. I was just like, I have nothing strong in my interest. Is the issue. I need to just finish up God of War and Final Fantasy 7, and then maybe pop in Ghosts of Tsushima, because everybody's raving about that game. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not in the mood to play games, and I'm like trying to force myself. I have been having fun. Me and my fiance have been playing It Takes Two, which is actually cool. But I'm talking about like getting lost in a game, like a Ghost of Tsushima, like an open world game or something like that. Getting lost in something like that would be, kind of nice. I was disappointed in the Shady Doctor roleplay. Did not view well. Decent amount of comments and likes for the view count, but I was kind of disappointed. I always get, and I was telling someone this on Instagram, I always get discouraged when I make a video that I'm like throwing a little creativity into, and I think it's gonna do well, and it doesn't. I'm like, oh, like I get all deflated. And then I put up the video, the Mike and Ike's and the drink review, and that did extremely well. And then I have the page turning one up, which is doing well also. The Final Fantasy book. I did another one of those. Somebody was asking about that. They're like, oh, if you run into things to not do, you can always do that. Because I think I was talking about like videos I was gonna do, and I was like, you know what, yeah, sure. And like I said, the anime one is gonna be filmed either tomorrow or the day after. I brushed up a little, but I think I'm just gonna kind of wing it on that and just go with what I remember to kind of make it more like, okay, this is what I remember from those shows. Yeah, there's a couple PS4 games I was looking at as well too. I threw on my Amazon list, like I put stuff on a wish list, but it's private now. It used to be public. I made it private, just so I throw them on there, and then I can go back and just know where everything is. And then sometimes stuff drops. I'm like, okay, I'm buying it. It's called Raging Loop. I think it's like it's another visual novel type game that seemed interesting. Graphic novel, visual novel game. But yeah, the problem is I buy that, it's gonna sit around. Like like it sucks. Like I said, I sold 2 things so far on eBay this year. I need to sell some more stuff, just to clear out space as well. Some games that I'm not playing and that were bought with the intent to sell, like stuff I got a garage sales, or just stuff I don't want anymore. I'll probably do an Xbox One collection probably after I get the devil in me. Just because I will get that soon enough, and I'm always weird like that. Like I'll do a collection video and then get a game back. Oh, if I just waited. What is this doing here? That's a little better, I guess. Just trying with this. But yeah, I'm getting used to this hat a little bit more now. It's got a little scuff on it. But yeah, I'm getting excited. I want the garage sale. I'm getting excited for the garage sale seasons. That's what I was going to say. I'm getting excited for that because I'm just like, I want to get out there again, because the last garage sale season ended so well. I'd gotten it would have been an incredible. The funny thing is, I got those manuals and boxes for Ogre Battle 64 and Paper Mario 64. And then I got the wrestling game and some other manuals. It was $10. Now I opened the boxes up. I was like, there's no way these games are in there, and they weren't. But I was like, I know for a fact these have to have value. And I grabbed that stuff, got that stuff for $10, and then box and manuals alone would be like $150 each. I was like, what? I did sell the Harvest Moon manual. But I was kind of like, it was the other stuff where I got the Resident Evil for the PlayStation, a couple of the PS1 games, and some other games. Viva Pinata, Force Unleashed 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. I got, and I picked up Hard Drive on Genesis. That was another one. That was right around the block, literally like a 3-minute walk, not even. There was that one. There was the one with the 2 boxes and manuals, and the other manuals, and the No Mercy. It was in No Mercy game for N64, and there was what was the third one? Oh, I got the Wii system that had whatchamacallit in Mario Kart with some controllers and stuff for $10. Was there a fourth one? I gotta look because I put it on Instagram as well. Let's see. I always do this. Oh yeah, the Harry Potter games and stuff, and the whole game, and all those Potter games. I got the GameCube Potters and one on the PS1, 2 on the GBA. That was 11 games for $30. That was also under $3 game, still good, but that was still a nice grab. But it gets you excited, but then the colder weather comes in, and you're like, it just like naturally stops regardless. Like if in March you get like a 60 something degree day, someone might have them and you can grab them, but it just like by December just like naturally stops in like mid-November. I would say it just like naturally stops through like early April usually, but usually it's like a May, June, July, August, September, October. Those 6 months are like the months where you can be like, you can have your best chances. But it's always fun just going and getting stuff, and I want to kind of look for more stuff to get, just for my own collection and stuff like that. But yeah, I always enjoy the G sales. Got some good movies coming out that we want to see. The new Scream, Scream 6, the Super Mario Brothers movie. That's in April, right? Scream is in March. There's another one. Not Evil Dead Rises. That looks pretty good, but I wouldn't see that in the theater. What was the other movie? I think it was another movie. Oh, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, but that's not till June. I love indies. I like Crystal Skull as well. It's probably my least favorite of those 4, the first 4, but that movie got didn't review poorly, but like a lot of people couldn't stand it. They're like, aliens, so this doesn't make sense. And people would even admit, they're like, well, it's okay when he's got the Holy Grail, or you have the Ark of the Covenant melting people's faces, and guys pulling out people's hearts and they're still alive, Like, I thought it was strange. There were some stupid parts in Crystal Skull. Absolutely, I'm not going to say there wasn't, but I thought it was a solid movie. Compared to the other 3, I wouldn't put it on that level, but Last Crusade's my personal favorite, and then it goes Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Temple of Doom. Like I said before, Temple of Doom is like the horror one. Last Crusade's one of those 5 movies I could watch all the time. I'm going to ramble about here actually for a few minutes, maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I was actually going to do a ramble just on this, and it was about the POV or the found footage horror movies, because I enjoy those. I wanted to talk about some cool ones. I might have talked about them in the past, like one called Leaving DC, which is really cool. I don't know, it's probably on Tubi now, but it's on Amazon or something else. I originally saw it on Amazon like 4 or 5 years ago. It was around the time I watched Hell House LLC. I'll talk about that one as well. This Leaving DC one's cool. This guy worked in DC, and he's like, oh, I can work kind of remote. He's like a reporter, not a reporter, but he does articles for, I forget what it is, like he's able to just like he has to just go into work like once a week. He can bring his articles in or whatever. So he moves to West Virginia, like a remote place in West Virginia. He's got a house in the woods, and he goes there and he starts hearing stuff at night when he's sleeping. And then he starts to record stuff. He puts a record out by his window, and it's cool because he goes through the recording, and he's hearing a flute playing. He's hearing noises and stuff. It's really cool how it works and stuff like that. And he puts up some hunting cams, like trail cams, and he's finding stuff on that. And it's a really cool movie. Actually, I thought it was really good. That was a good one. If you've not seen it and you're into those, check that out. It's called Leaving DC. And Hell House LLC. They did make 3 of them. The second and third are good, but the first one is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite in that genre. It starts off where these people are saying, it starts off where they're like, oh, this haunted house in upstate New York. All this crazy stuff happened on opening night, and a bunch of people died. Most of everybody got out, but some people died. And then it goes back to the people who are setting up the haunted house and the weird stuff that's happening in it and stuff. It's like an abandoned hotel they get that they're going to do it in. This hotel has a history. It's really cool the way it's done. It's like almost like a documentary type. They're talking about like the original accident at the place, like that happened with the haunted house. And you have like, they're supposed to be actors as like pretend reporters and other people, historian types and stuff. It's really cool. And then you get into the creepy, and there's some creepy stuff in this movie. It's really well done. They did make a 2 and 3. I think 3 was Lake of Fire. The second one was called the Abaddon Hotel. They were all good, but the first one's just really good. I would definitely check that one out. That's all over the place now. Obviously, Blair Witch, in my opinion, and I've talked about Blair Witch a few times, more than a few times. It's my favorite movie. It's really between that and Ravenous. But man, Blair Witch, to me, is still like the top of the found footage movies. It's so good. It's just so good and well acted. And seeing it in the movie theater helped because everybody was on the edge of their seat. I've said this in the past. It's the only movie I ever watched in the theater that I was on the edge of my seat. I love the Blair Witch. I even like the second one, Book of Shadows, even though it's not a found footage movie. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the Blair Witch, but not really. I like that movie, but it got shit on. I'm not going to really argue the fact that it got shit on. They did do the other one that was not that great, where it's like a direct sequel to the first one. I think they're looking for, the person's looking for, I guess it's, what's her name? Excuse me. Josh, Mike, and what was the girl's name? It was her actual name as well in real life. They used the first names of the people. What was her name? Why can't I remember her name? I can't remember what her name was, but it's like, I think her brother, she's like, oh, I saw some footage. I found this videotape, and she's on it. I gotta go. I gotta find her, and then stuff happens. It's not terrible, but I don't know. It was funny, like the first review that came out of that movie was like glowing, and then you're like, oh yeah, the person reviewing this works for the place that like produced the movie. I was like, oh yeah, I can't take that seriously. Why can't I remember her name? Josh and Mike. I don't know, I can't remember her name. I love this movie so much, I can't remember the person's name. Was it Katie? I don't know. No, that was Paranormal Activity. Another good one. The first Paranormal Activity I saw, that's another great found footage movie, or in that POV style. Second one was cool. Third one was okay. The fourth one I thought was terrible. The marked ones, the fifth one, I liked that one quite a bit. And then there was the Ghost Dimension, which I did not like at all. And then they did that Next of Kin I watched on Paramount, and that one wasn't that great either. But yeah, like, what was her name? I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't believe I can't remember. Josh, Mike. I don't think it was Katie. Was it? She popped up in some other movies. So did Josh. Joshua Leonard was the other guy's name. I forget Mike something. What was her name? I have to look it up now. I hate to do it. I want to figure it out on my own, but I gotta look it up. I can't help myself. Can I remember her name? Was it Katie? I don't know. I don't think it was. Let's find out. There she is, right on the cover. Show the freaking actors' names. I don't want to click on anything else, but I'm gonna have to. Oh, come on, what's her name? No, I can't think of it. Of course, I'm gonna see it and be like, of course, Heather. Was not Katie. But yeah, Paranormal Activity is another one that's really good. The VHS movies, most of them are good, but those are they're like found footage things, but it's like kind of they're broken down like a Tales from the Dark Side type thing. That's like 3 or 4 part one. I've not seen 99 yet. I think 99 was the last one, right? 94 was the one with the Rat Mom. That one was really good. And there's another one with these people taking they got a guy it was like an extremist group that had like a vampire chained up, and they were taking his blood like explodes, and they were using his blood for like their weapons and stuff, and then he gets loose. That was a really cool one too. There's another one with somebody who's working in a funeral home during a wake with his she was the only one there. I forget what other one was in there as well. I think the first one, I think they actually made a movie out of it. I'm pretty sure it was the first VHS that had the girl who was like actually like a succubus or some kind of creature. They actually made a movie about her, like a prequel movie. There's that one with the cult. I think that might be in the second one. That was really good too. There's a lot of good ones, but I still have to see 99. I don't know if they still have it. Maybe they probably do, but it was called POV Horror. It was like $2 a month. I joined that for a bit, and that was cool. It was just like the POV horror movies. That's all it was, and it was really cool. I found some cool ones on there too, but I always liked those movies. I don't know. I watched a cool one. I already talked about it. What was it? It was like they were talking about like this urban legend thing, and this one person starts losing it because it's like going down the tunnel and you see these lights. That was a really what was it called? Butterfly Kisses. It might have been called. That was a cool one. But I like those kind of movies. And I've watched a ton. Like Tubi has a bunch. Tubi has a bunch of Amityville movies, and they're just throwing the name Amityville in front of it, like Amityville Karen. I'm not kidding. That's one of them. Amityville in Space, Amityville in the Hood, Amityville Cop, Amityville Island. Amityville Dollhouse is another one. There's so many. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I talked about some ass. When I lived in Massapequa, Amityville's the town next to it. I've gone past the house like once or twice. You see it once or twice, you're like, okay. But so many like ghost hunter types and stuff like love going there and doing stuff. Like trying to go there because anytime people film for like a documentary thing involving that house, there's always a cop in front of the actual house, and they have to film next door because the people who live there are so sick of people coming there. And the house doesn't look like it used to. It looks different now. People have to be redone, and no one else except the Lutzes had any kind of experience in there. Obviously, the murders happened in there before the Lutzes moved in. That's a true story. It's up to you to decide if that place was actually ever haunted. But I think any place where people were killed, you will start to be like, oh shit, something could be going on here. Did it? I don't know. But either way, it's like there's a house in Massapequa, stupidly called the Hell House, because it's this gothic-looking place. It looks nothing like the other house. It's so cool looking. It's got these iron gates up in front. All the houses around it look like normal houses. And everybody used to say this stuff they used to make up about this house is ridiculous. And you'd see people, like, they'd have Christmas lights up. You'd see people working on their cars. Like, there was no things. I'd love to go inside, but there was a thing where if you went around the back of the house, because you could see the top of the back of the house because it was taller than the other houses. If you went around the back, however many people, because people would drive past that house slowly and just be like, look at this place. There would be a thing where it'd be like, oh, a certain amount of candles are lit in the car that you're in the window. Oh, there's 3 people in the car. I swear one time, and they must have a camera and be able to see it, right? Because you're going past slow enough, they'll be able to see how many people are in a house, in a car, right? We turned around the corner. We're going around the back. One window, we had 2 people, 2 cars, 3 in one, 2 in the other. One window had 3 candles. Another one had 2. We're like, oh my god. Of course, they could just have a camera. It could just be a coincidence, but still, it plays into this stuff. But it's just a house that looks awesome. Look it up if you're not on Long Island. If you live on Long Island, you'll know. You'll probably know this place, but we walked past him once or twice too. Like, oh my god, it gets like so ridiculous. Like, this house is huge though. It's like almost like a giant box, but it's like red. The front of it's red. Like it's just like red. I'd say it's hard to describe. You'd have to look it up. Just look up like Massapequa creepy house, and it would come up. I think it looks cool. I don't necessarily. I mean, because it has a creepy vibe to it, but it looks really cool. Or Massapequa Gothic type house. Look up. I should. You know what? I'm gonna try to get a picture of it. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. Although I don't know the actual address of the place. I can't remember the name of the street it's on. Actually, let me look it up. Show you a picture of what the front of this place looks like. The creepy house, Massapequa. I would think it's the first one that comes up. No. Oh, here we go. This house is so cool looking. It's not a haunted house either. I don't know why people are saying it's haunted. It's ridiculous. I'm going to save this image, then I'll show it. People actually call it the Satan house. I can't, like, you know. Like, what? Let's see if this is going to come up. That's what it looks like. It's so fucking cool looking. And maybe in your town you have a crazy house that has such a cool look to it that people make up random stories about. But that is it. Actually, they must have... I don't know how recent that is because it doesn't have the iron gates. It says like this stories that come up. They used to be taller. Somebody must have removed stuff because the gates were higher. It looks like half of it's been cut down on that picture. I don't know how recent that is. It's a cool looking house though. Once I finish this one, I guess I'll stop, or maybe I'll go on for a minute or 2 later. So I'm kind of trying to drag it out a little bit. That was a cool place though. Like I said, I can't remember the street name. I could get to it, but I can't remember the name of the street. But yeah, it's like that to me is more interesting than the Amityville house because you can't get in the Amityville house. Like, you know the history of it and know people were murdered in there, but this house you don't know anything about other than what it looks like. Like, who knows what's going on in there? Are there hidden passages in that house? Massapequa's had a lot of stuff happen in it, actually, that town. I know Seinfeld lived there for a bit. The Baldwins lived in Nassau Shores. I don't know if Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister lived there, too. He might have been from Massapequa. The train schedule switch next week. It looks like they're going to be screwed coming home. I won't get home too much later than I do. I'll get home a little after 6 instead of a little before 5. Yeah, like I said, though, I can't wait to get back to the G sales. That's what happens, like, as the winter kind of rolls on, I start to get the itch. I'm like, I gotta get back to those G sales. That's like, I have to just get to the G sales. Let's get to the G sales. I think we're gonna watch that movie Infinity Pool later. What came out this week? Oh, Cocaine Bear. That kind of looks funny. It's based on they obviously expanded this, but it's based on a thing of a bear actually eating coke and dying fairly immediately afterwards. And this, of course, the bear goes on a rampage. It kind of looks funny. It's Ray Liotta's last movie. It's actually reviewing somewhat okay. Let's see what it's at now. Let's go back to the phone. I want to see what it's at now. It's at like 70%. Land of Pain for my Steam wish list is on sale. I need to buy that King's Quest collection on there. I think the actual bear like ate it and went a little nuts for a second and then died. It's still at 70%. $148 reviews too. That's actually pretty good. It's better than New Ant-Man. That came out. That actually didn't review that well. I lost such interest in the Marvel movies. Like, it's too much of it. I think I saw the first Avengers movie in the theater. I think that was the only one I saw in the theater. I'm not counting like the Spider-Mans back in the day with Tobey Maguire. I saw the first 2 of those in the theater. I think I just saw the first. Oh, and I saw the 2 Deadpools. I like those. I'm more of an X-Men person. Like, I saw X-Men First Class in the theater. I saw the first 2 X-Men and X-Men Last Stand. No, X-Men United. Wait, was the second one called X2, X United, or something? The third one was The Last Stand. I like the X-Men. I just always liked the X-Men over, like, the Avengers and stuff like that. Spider-Man's cool, too, but in terms of, like, the Avengers, whatever. Ant-Man I was never into. I saw the first Thor movie, and Ragnarok. Did I see that? I don't know. The first Thor movie was kind of cool, but I just kind of lost interest. I'm like, there's too much of it. You know, I'm like, I don't know. I just lost interest. But if a new X-Men comes out, I'd be all for that. I just like the X-Men characters. I always did. Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, Storm. Everyone's favorite, Jubilee. She was the one that shot like fireworks. Professor X. I know the enemies, Sabretooth, Magneto, and Mr. Sinister, and Apocalypse in his arc in the cartoon, in the comics. They did make a movie kind of similar to it, but it's not good. Like, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are part of that too. Universe. Stuff like, Cable. He popped up in the Deadpool movie because Deadpool's in that. He pops up in the X-Men comics. And I'm not like super into the comics. Nightcrawler's cool. Colossus, Cyclops, Jean Grey, like it's just, there's a lot of cool. I don't know. I always liked that. I always liked it. What was the people that lived underground? The Morlocks or something? Omega Red was another one. Strife. He was more with the Cable stuff, and Bishop was another one. The ones that came from the future. I just like that. I just always like that stuff more than the Avengers stuff. Avengers theme stuff. But yeah, that stuff's cool too, but I don't know. That was like the X-Men. Juggernaut. Mr. Sinister always had a cool look. What was the pterodactyl's name? I forget. He popped up when they went to the land of the lost type thing. There's always crazy stuff going on in comics. I still have some of my comics in the basement. I gave a bunch of them away, but just then Carnage. That's Spider-Man. Carnage and Venom were always cool with Spider-Man. He had cool enemies too, like Dr. Octopus and the Electro guy. Was that his name? Electro. Sinister Six. Was the Green Goblin, Hobgoblin. I don't know a ton about the comics. I do know some. But yeah, I always liked that stuff. The cartoon was awesome. The X-Men cartoon was really cool. That like followed the comics pretty well. Just didn't have like a lot of the violence and stuff. And they're like the Sentinels that the government makes. I do have that Rogue and Gambit figures that I got. Beast is cool too. Like there's just a lot of cool characters. Was Pyro one of the? He was a bad guy, right? Iceman. Pyro wasn't. No, the Human Torch was Fantastic Four. I used to have a lot of those X-Men figures when I was a kid. When I go to Florida, I'd pick them up. For some reason, it was just always when I was down there, I'd get them something to leave down there when we go back for vacation or whatever. And you go to like the Walmart or the Toys R Us and just buy freaking 10 of them. Those are cool though. Almost done here. I'm trying to hold off to get to about an hour and 46 minutes. But yeah, that's gonna go up. I gotta do the anime ramble next few days. Get that up. End of the that might go up on the 28th or the 27th of May. I mean February. Yeah, I'm starting to get buzzed. Telling you, lightweight. I don't even know what month it is anymore. That should be. Yeah, I haven't done an hour-long ramble in a bit, so let's push this another 13 minutes. Because when we played Pond, me and my two friends were playing GoldenEye here. My friend brought he brought a 12-pack of this, and he left the remaining one. So I'm like, okay, I can do a drinking and rambling vid at some point. I should have brought 4 up. I'm glad I brought the 3rd though, because I didn't know. I mean, I could have just cut it short, but I kind of wanted to do this so it was a longer. I just call it a longer ramble. It doesn't have to be an hour-long ramble. Or I'll just finish this up and then ramble for like 10 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I gotta do some stuff. Did some more vids, just constantly with the vids. It's just, sometimes I get burnt out. Sometimes I don't know. I get frustrated with YouTube. Sometimes I just do. I'm not gonna complain here and come across as like, oh, you know, whining. Sometimes I don't know. I think wherever you're at, if you put up videos consistently enough, whatever your sub count is, you're always gonna expect more, right? And just sometimes you're like, come on, you know. I'm not the person that's gonna tell you to like, comment, subscribe. I can't do that stuff, and I understand why people do it. I'm not gonna fault anyone for ever doing anything, well, unless you're doing something fucked up. But I just don't like. It doesn't seem for me personally. It doesn't seem natural to be like, and don't forget to like. Like I can't do it. If you like my videos, you're gonna like and comment and subscribe. Do I need to tell you to do that? But I don't even watch many videos anymore in terms of ASMR, which is a damn shame. It really is, because there's a lot of good people out there to watch. If you get this far in the video, check out ASMR with Bex. My ASMR addiction's great. Those two, I don't even watch this stuff anymore. Like I'm so busy just making videos, and I'll throw videos on. But the problem is, I'm watching the stuff I've already liked from the people that I like. I'm not like getting into the newer stuff as much. I don't like ASMR Gaming News, another great one. Gnarly ASMR is really good. There's just a lot of people that are doing a lot of good stuff, but I like, it's not like, it's weird. It's like I can find time to watch a video, but I find myself going back to older stuff because I'm like, you get so focused. If you're like a content creator, you're so focused on making your own videos, and then you just like become like engulfed in it or whatever, and it's like, oh my god. You know, ASMR Bro, best eating videos you'll find out there for sure. He's incredible with that stuff. Some of the stuff he eats, I'm just like, how is he doing this? There's a lot of good people, and you know, you come across people years later. You're like, how did I not find? And that's what sucks, is that some people never. Like I could sit here and be like, oh, I got 11,000 subs and start whining, but there's people who are much lower than me that deserve much more, and it's so hard. Now, even the thing, like, when it comes to shouting out people, sometimes you'll do if you get a shout out from, like, I'm talking like a huge channel, that's not necessarily, it's a good thing, but it isn't in the same way, because a lot of people are like, I like the person I'm sub to, they're telling me to like this person, or check this person, not like them, but tell them to check them out, and then a bunch of people sub to you, but then they just don't give a shit after a month, because maybe they're not into your stuff. Sometimes, like, the way I got that push for the 4 months, I'd love to grow like that. It's just natural, it's more organic. Done with that. Let's see. This one has a little left in it. There's a lot of good people out there, though. And there's people that meet, we're making videos, and then just kind of, I stopped, for whatever reason. Obviously, they went about their lives, But it's funny, I'm like, I get in a groove where I'm like, I gotta keep making vids, and I can't. I think a lot of people, you end up like being so focused on your analytics if you're trying to improve stuff. The problem is with me, I just, it is what it is. I'm gonna throw a video on. The production values are not fantastic. I understand that. I just like coming across as myself and being as natural as possible and doing creative videos sometimes with the shady vids or whatever. Getting a little stupid from time to time, but it's just me talking to you guys. I don't want to, it's just, hey man, let's go. And the funny thing is, I would never want to be overly huge, because then I'm not going to be able to respond. If I get too many comments, I feel like I'm not going to be able to respond to the comments. And I don't want that. I like responding. I mean, I don't respond. I haven't responded to the comments, but sometimes you get, that's the thing, you put yourself out. Now we're getting into it. I'm getting a little buzzed, but you throw yourself out there. I understand you throw yourself on the video. Some people are gonna be like, "You this fucking asshole," and I've gotten some nasty comments from time to time. A lot of them go to the help for review, and if I don't check it, I don't see it. Some I see, and I'm like, "Oh my god," and I start laughing. But some I'm like, "Oh," and then at first, when I first started making vids, I get a nasty comment, I'd be taken aback. But then I just kind of like, what are you gonna do? Not everybody's gonna like your stuff. If people take their time to leave a bunch of comments just going off on you, you're almost like, what the hell did I do to you? But that's how it works, You throw yourself out there. Sometimes you're gonna eat some shit. Let me see if I can roll it for 8 minutes. I should have grabbed that fourth. I'm gonna have to pee. Break the seal and I'm done. But like I said, I still love making videos. I am in a bit of a funk right now, I will admit. I don't know. That's what happens. If you make a lot of videos, it's just you start to like get in a funk, and it almost becomes workmanlike, and you don't want it to become that, And like I said, I like doing creative stuff, and when I do like a shady doctor role play, and I'm all excited, and it doesn't view that well, I'm like, oh man, like I get sad for a second, and then you gotta move on. But then the stuff with I gotta make the third one still. And I want to do like 4 or 5 in that series, but the should relax when the light's off. People all of a sudden view that a bunch, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I like when people see that stuff, because for me personally, YouTube is a great outlet to do those kind of creative videos, and I have fun with it, and that's what's so cool about it, is like I can make these videos. Even on my old channel, the Buried Under Cliches channel, I made some stupid videos on there, like when I'm like, how to catch a Sega Genesis, and I was in my backyard, and I threw the game into the system. I did the GameCube series. I mean, I had so much fun back then. And that was back when you had like 100 subs, and you're like, this is awesome. And I'm glad I can still do stuff, silly stuff, in this way. And I'm glad the shady videos overall will view well. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't, because plenty of them have done very well. And I like making them. And I just like being, kind of stupid and whatnot with that stuff. And I think with role plays, and I don't know if anybody else makes videos, I'm making a video, like I'm doing a cranial nerve exam, and I'm like, it's gotta be, oh no, would this be in the background? Like, no one cares if there's a cat picture in the background or something, but in my mind, I'm like, it's not gonna seem legit enough, as if it's anywhere close to legit, But when you do the shady vids or something that's silly, you just go, like none of this matters, oh look, aliens came, oh my god, I'm cloning you, I'm pulling Shy Guys out of your arm, like weird stuff that doesn't matter. You can just go with the sillier things. But yeah, it's fun, it is. Sometimes I just get in a funk, I think, and I probably should give myself a good 3 or 4 or 5 days without making videos, but it's so hard for me not to. Because I get nervous. I'm like, oh no, if I disappear for a few days, people are going to just move on, and that's not the case. But that's how the mindset for me sometimes is. What are you going to do? Do I have anything left in this? Pretend like I'm drinking it. But yeah. I still need to get a gameplay up. For some reason, I get that new tripod and everything, and I'm still not getting gameplays up. I don't know why. I don't know what my problem is with doing this. Because I want to do like the Quarry or Until Dawn or something like that. I don't want to do a gameplay where the controls are overly involved, and I haven't played the game in a while, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore. But yeah. 3 more minutes. I have to get to an hour now, so. So I gotta do that anime ramble. February's kind of cruised by. January went a little slow. February's moving. If I had another beer, I'd probably run this longer, but. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I was trying to think of something. I need to get another bin. I gotta put some stuff in a bin to free up some space for games. Somebody asked me about doing a Resident Evil Ramble. I'm going to be doing that as well, probably early March. I can't wait for that Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm so pumped for that. Like, that's a game I'm going to get day one and just play because I love that shit. I love Resident Evil. There's not a lot of games recently that I just want to get and play. That's the problem. But yeah, there's I mean, I am excited about that game for sure. It looks so cool, man. It's like there's side quests and stuff and different it looks really well done. And I think they did a great job with 2, especially 2. But Resident Evil 3 was cool, but it definitely went maybe strayed a little too much away from Resident Evil 3. And I don't know if you agree with me on this, whoever's played the remake of Resident Evil 3. It plays like an action movie more so than like a straight survival horror. Because those first 3, Code Veronica, and Resident Evil 4 is still survival horror, but it starts to move towards action horror a little bit. 5 is straight action horror to me. But that 3 remake kind of pushed it more towards action horror and less survival. Resident Evil 2 is straight. Just the Resident Evil 2 remake is fucking amazing. It's so good. I've played through that like 3 or 4 times. It's so freaking good. And 7 and 8 and Village, 7 and 8 are when they put it into first person now. Dead Aim was in first person, I think too, but those 2 are the first 2 like seriously creepy Resident Evils that I played. I always love the atmosphere and the environments of Resident Evils, but they never creep me out the way 7 and 8 do. 7 especially, more so than 8. 8 had its moments, especially the dollhouse type thing was really creepy. 7 though, for me, was the creepiest in the series. I'll talk more about this kind of stuff in the Ramble. But we'll end this before I have to go run and take a piss and then break the seal and piss like 60 times in an hour. As long as I'm capable, I'm going to keep making videos. Maybe I'll break through again and check out those people I mentioned. It was ASMR with Bex, my ASMR addiction, ASMR Bro, ASMR Gaming News, Gnarly ASMR. I don't know if I mentioned anyone else before, but really great people, good stuff. But anyway, yeah, just past that hour mark, so this has become an hour-long ramble. because it makes it go faster. You're like, not makes it go faster, but you can ramble longer the more drinks you have. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.